Anyway, so we're going to be in Galatians 6:2. Galatians 6:2 says, bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. Bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. So when we bear one another's burdens, what the word is actually saying, it's translated into Greek, is to carry the weight, help to carry the weight that another person is carrying. Take the weight off their shoulders, so to say. And it makes their life easier to bear when two are carrying it. Even the Bible talks about us being yoked with Christ and how his burden, or some translations say his burden, is light. Because he's working with you. He's carrying that weight with you. So we're commanded as Christians to do this. When we see that there's a need that somebody has, a heavy burden that they're carrying, don't just say, oh, hope it works out well for you. Have a nice day. You know, somebody says they're cold, and, you know, we would offer them a coat, or you just say, well, stay warm. Bye. You know, I mean, bear one another's burdens. And so doing, you might fulfill the law of Christ. What is the law of Christ? What is the law of Christ? Anybody know? Goes right back to Deuteronomy and the Shema that the Jewish people will always say. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, and your strength. And then St. Paul brings this up again. This is what he's referring to. He brings it up right from Deuteronomy. And the people were all familiar with what that means, because that's what they recite. That's the most sacred thing in the Jewish faith to recite, the Shema. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one, and it goes on with that. That goes back to Deuteronomy 6:4. One great illustration of this goes back to Exodus. Exodus 17:8-13. And in Exodus 17:8-13, the Amalekites have invaded the Israelites. And they're at Rephidim, and Moses gives Joshua charge to take the troops and to fight the Amalekites then. And he's going to stay back, and he's going to be holding up his arm with the staff that God has blessed him with, that has the power of God in it. And as long as he has that arm in the air with that staff up, the Israelites are getting victory. They're defeating the Amalekites. But I don't know if you ever stood with something over your head for any great length of time. It gets very burdensome to have that, and you can't do it. I've seen movies where they were like concentration camps, Japanese concentration camps, where they make them hold a weight over their head for 24 hours. And it was like next to impossible. And then they would be beaten if they, fell or, couldn't support that weight anymore. And so in this Exodus 17, we see that when Moses was getting tired, he was getting weary, he couldn't carry that full weight anymore. That Aaron and Hur came up next to him, and they brought a stone so that he could sit down to help carry some of the weight from his legs and his body that was stressed out. And they helped to hold his hands up on either side. And so they helped to bear the burden that Moses was carrying. And every time, that staff was raised in the air, they would have victory. And so he did this until sunset. And the Israelites were victorious then over the Amalekites. And so I think this is an excellent, excellent illustration of what it means to support one another, to lighten each other's burden by what we're able to do. Maybe we're able to give money. Maybe we're able to give a coat. Maybe we're able to bring towels. Maybe we're able to bring food. Maybe we're able to pray, which we are always able to do. But maybe we're able to provide a ride for somebody. Whatever we're able to do, and it would help somebody else and lift their burden, that's what we're called to do. In so doing, we fulfill the law of Christ. So, God bless the reading of his word, and thank you for these wonderful illustrations that help us to see your word fulfilled. Let's go ahead and start praying then for the needs that we have in our body.